Great. So here we go. Good afternoon. If you have any questions, comments, or things that you can't see, please go to the chat box and send me a note. It's open. It's a great way to ask questions and also let me know. I'm assuming that you can see the dog barking at a horse right now. So maybe if you can just put a quick note in the chat box to let me know you can see that, and then we will get started. So my name is Tom. I wrote a book called Barking Up a Dead Horse. David saw me, as I think I mentioned, in Colorado about a year ago and thought that some of my approach to things might be interesting and useful for your sales organization. I had an old boss. His name was Larry. Worked at an advertising agency as my first job, and he used to mix his metaphors all the time. So he used to say things like, "We'll burn that bridge when we get to it." Or he'd say things like, "We need to seize the bull by the moment." So one of the things he also said was, "You're just barking up a dead horse," which is obviously a mixed metaphor for barking up wrong trees and beating dead horses. So often in my career, selling and running a number of small businesses to varying degrees of success and failure, as well as the last 10 years consulting specifically with sales organizations, I just found so often that we get caught barking up wrong trees and beating dead horses. So a lot of my work is around how do we be more effective with our outreach to new prospects, how do we better control the sales process and not just default to their process, how do we handle lingering and stalled deals, how do we better understand and communicate our unique value. All of these things are pretty simple, and yet for some reason as human beings, a lot of these things are difficult for us. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview real quickly of what it is that I do. Obviously you also have the book and you also have access to the online modules. Send me an email as a follow-up with any questions or comments, and we'll get started. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the approach, quick idea of how to use me, and of course any questions or comments you can send me via email or you can also put in the chat box. Just to make sure that you're seeing what I'm seeing, this is what to expect from this series. If you can, just put a quick note in the chat box to make sure you can see it. We're also recording this for others who were not a part of this, so welcome to all of you as well. I'm pretty interactive. I like to have fun. I'm not going to be overly serious. I am interested in challenging your thinking. I have a background in counseling psychology as well as entrepreneurship. I'm interested in finding ways we can challenge our mindset and the psychology of how we show up in the world, how do we sell, where are we uncomfortable, what are we afraid of, when are we confident, when to talk, when to shut up, all of those kind of things. My job, although also being philosophical, is to really give people practical examples. All the things that I teach and talk about are things that I have done myself or that even currently use. Do a lot of work on email templates and value proposition language and how to get a response to stalled or lingering deals, all things that we're going to have some tangible examples we can use and try in the real world. Not going to be any big group hugs. I'm not going to tell you how awesome I am or tell stories about how I've been hanging out with Steven Spielberg. Obviously, there's no quick fix here. We're going to end this with me doing a live session on the 20th of December with you all. And one of my suggestions with David is I find that, to get the most out of that, as opposed to I show up and I'm great and you guys find it wonderful and entertaining and then you don't actually apply anything, is let's try some stuff. Let's do an orientation. Let's apply some things and work on some actual deals and situations so that then when we're together, it's a little more tangible, a little more useful, and a little more sustainable. Like I mentioned, I'm Tom Batchelder. I'm actually doing this right now from my office in San Francisco. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. Most of my national sales coaching organization is, a lot of it is with professional services firms. Anyone who is, actually anyone who cares about what they do, anyone who believes in what it is they do and sell, anyone who's a thoughtful human being who maybe isn't really inspired by some of the old school approaches to rah-rah selling or kind of cheesy, manipulative ways to sell or motivate yourself. I found that I just wasn't really into a lot of that. So wrote a book. I'm drawing a lot from psychology, human behavior, and also specific aspects of the sales process that we can be a little more effective at. One of the things that I ask people to think about is this assessment on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 is this is not true, I struggle with this. 5 is this is very true, I have mastered this. So I am, and you're not going to have time to answer this right now, but I can forward you the slides and you can answer this. We'll also talk about this when I'm there live in a month. I'm systematic and consistent about my process for finding and developing new business. I'm always working on the right size prospective accounts that will fuel profitable growth. I'm able to quickly and compellingly talk about our unique value, verbally and also in writing. And I'm having no trouble getting to all of the true decision makers and not getting stuck with deals in the pipeline that have stalled. So typically I ask people to choose one of these that is most important to improve. There probably would be more than one. One of these that's more important to improve. If you can pick one, send me a follow-up email and let me know what that one is. Or you can also type it in the chat box if you prefer. So we're going to work on all of these things. These are all things that, that I can work with you on and that can help with if you want. So one of the overall themes, if you've seen in the book, is what I call one down, all even. The V stands for value. So often when we're showing up with clients and prospects, we put ourselves in what I call a one down position. We're little v, they're big V. We need their business, we need their money, therefore we'll do whatever it takes. We'll be passive, we'll follow along their process, we'll tolerate them sometimes not doing what they say they're going to do, occasionally even misleading us or lying to us. Moving to all even. There is something about you, who you are, and what it is that you sell that is unique. It can't get you anywhere else. And oftentimes we have a more effective, thoughtful process to help them make the right decision. So how do we show up as equal V? Our value is equal to their value. We're having an adult conversation and negotiation. Neither of us is better than the other. This is always harder to actually apply than it is to talk about because you have numbers to reach and you want to make money and you get attached to deals, and I understand that. So a lot of the orientation in my approach around thinking and language and process when we're selling is filtered through the one down and all even approach. The next slide is the overall themes are run through three categories. So the first is cleaning out your pipeline, moving things in or out of your pipeline, on and off the fence, being more compelling about how you talk about what it is that you do and getting more responses and having more conversations with the right kinds of prospects. And once you have people in your sales process, doing a better job of being in control and noticing the places where you lose control and where things fall down and you're not quite where things stand, you're not talking to all the decision makers, things end up being all about price. So we work on all of these things. You have access to online modules that I either already have or will send to you. One of them is around getting response to sell deals. One of them is around compelling value proposition. One is around languaging to get better response rates, key questions to ask, better controlling the process, and also more productive pipeline review conversations. This is the access code. Take a look at those. They're all just about 10 minutes long. They're basically recorded high-quality webinars, as well as the slides and some cut and paste examples. So take a look at those over the next few days or over the next week if you're not totally out of the office for all of the holiday season. Take a look at those. I have already sent you the link to that, and if for some reason I didn't, feel free to send me an email directly, and I'll make sure you have it. And you have access to these online modules for the next month. Feel free to use them anytime you want, and let me know if you have questions. So we've all been in a situation where we kind of got sucked into the black hole, had some really good conversations with a prospect, things went really well, thought we had some sort of agreements, followed up a couple of times, and didn't hear back. Nothing. Crickets. So why does that happen? Well, sometimes the answer is actually no, or you know what, something changed. But they're not telling you because they know it's not what you want to hear, and some people are just horrible at delivering bad news, or you're pretty bad at getting the truth. Sometimes they're actually really interested, but the timing's not quite right. Sometimes they just got busy. So they actually do want to talk. They just got busy. Good for you to follow up in the right kind of way to figure out a way to re-engage them and move forward. My goal is always in a stalled deal situation is to make sure that we're giving ourselves the best possible chance to get a response when for some reason we're not getting a response, and to get the truth. Sometimes the truth isn't what we want to hear, and sometimes it is. In order for us to get a response when things have stalled, we have to be open to the truth. Some of those things we can control, some of them we can't. And sometimes the truth isn't what you want to hear, and if you're not open to that, you will continue to get avoided and lied to in certain situations. And it's our job to schedule some sort of a next step or a conversation to re-engage and keep talking, or to move on. Not to move on forever necessarily, but at least to move on for now. It's hard to move on sometimes if we spend a whole bunch of time on this opportunity, or if we don't have enough stuff going on in our pipeline to begin with. So stalled deals oftentimes happen because we move too fast, we're assumptive, we don't ask the right questions, we're way too quick to quote, propose, and talk about money. This is something that we can definitely work on over the next month. That in the end, they really haven't given you a compelling reason to change or to change right now. Often, as you have experienced, I'm sure, they are also using you for some free information, some free pricing, some things to find a way to leverage someone that they're currently doing business with. And oftentimes things stall just because we don't have clear next steps. Like, it's not clear what's supposed to happen next. We don't know, when to make some decisions to move forward, or, when to walk away. We keep things ambiguous. There's a chapter in my book called Attachment to Ambiguity. So one of my challenges to folks that are in charge of selling is to be less tolerant of ambiguity. So when we talk about our value, I ask audiences all the time, so, give me some words that describe your value. And so often we use words and language, and because of your unique industry, you're going to have different words than these. However, my point is that typically we say things that everybody who's our competition can say. Whether it's true or not, it is really almost kind of irrelevant. We say the same kind of things that everybody else says, and it's pretty boring, and it's not really representative of what's truly unique about you, and it makes it hard for us to differentiate ourselves and not get commoditized. So one of the things that we'll talk about further is finding ways to get people's attention and differentiate yourself to them. And one of the things that I talk about is speaking to the old brain, which is the more emotional part of our brain, where people initially make some gut decisions. They decide if they want to respond to you, if you've gotten their attention and they want to continue to talk or make a decision to work with you. This is not the rational, logical part of our brain. The better we can do at speaking to the old brain, the more business we can close. So a couple of the categories that fit within the context of speaking to the old brain. The first is contrast. The old brain needs contrast. If you think of a sea of red apples, your red apple may be a little bit different, may be a little bit shinier, may have a stronger stem or be organic. But when the old brain scans, all it sees is a sea of red apples. So how do we show up as a green apple in a sea of red apples? Which in the context of your business I know is hard, and there are definitely ways that we can do a better job of showing up as a green apple in a sea of red. Oftentimes, too, we need to do a better job of using tangible, simple language, as well as to paint a picture. And the nice thing about your business is that you actually have pictures, right? You have pictures of of the golf course and of the property and of the rooms, and to give them a sense and an experience of what they would be buying, and or also, they can come on site and have that same experience. So in the context of your business, the painting of a picture is actually, I think, easier. The painting of a picture of their experience of you, and giving them a sense of what's truly different and not just same old, I think is one of the things that might be a challenge we can work on. Oftentimes when we're reaching out to and talking to prospects or clients, Kind of the old way of communicating is for us to be assumptive and talk about how we can help, be excited about how awesome we are, being fired up, giving them a whole bunch of information, probably more than they need, and being so thankful about them giving you some time, and so thankful about the possibility of having an opportunity to maybe at some point win their business. So I do a lot of work working on language with how we talk to, communicate with our prospects and clients, and being a little less one down, a little less kind of, thanks for the opportunity. Well, what does that even mean? Why do we even need to say that? Or the idea that we get a little bit overly excited. We can be passionate about and believe in what we sell and about the property that you represent. At the same time, I want them to be at least equally, if not more excited than I am. So the new way is finding ways to disarm people. I'm talking about how in many ways you might be a fit for them. You don't know if for sure you're a fit for them because there's a lot of things you don't know about what they're looking for, what they value, what they're open to, what's important to them. So you might be a fit, but you don't know for sure. So finding a way to be disarming to minimize the prospect's resistance or them defending or not giving you all the information you need. Doing a better job of giving them a quick snapshot of our value, having some clear next steps that are easy to say yes to in your sales process that might be different from what they're used to or might be different from what they want to do next. And at every step in the process, no or no, not now is perfectly okay. This seems passive, but I promise you it's not. No is always on the table anyway. I find that if we're clearer about what the next steps are and not afraid about the possibility that the answer is no or no, not now, that we actually have a better chance of getting a yes. So with the highest intent of solving problems and helping people, my job is to facilitate a process to find out what they need truly and what they value and to see if we're a good fit. Maybe we're a good fit, maybe we're not. You are not a good fit for everybody. So let's be a little more specific about where we spend our time and energy. As we talk about our value proposition, let's talk about, typically where we're the best fit. Clients that we find are the best fit for us are X. They also have a process. So your prospects have a process, typically that is rational and logical. Oftentimes they will not give you the full truth, or at least will withhold some information from you. They want to be in control. They don't always give you access to all the decision makers. They love to get free information and give pricing and quotes and a whole bunch of stuff. And oftentimes in the end, things just kind of stall and we end up in what I call voicemail hell. So a lot of the things that we can also work on is around how do we combat some of this to not get stuck always in their process. There's a number of ways we can do that. This is pretty complicated and not easy, and there's a number of little things we can do more effectively. I'm not going to really get into the details of your process at this point, but we're definitely going to talk about it. A couple of just quick little reminders on better qualifying opportunities. Again, this is probably a little bit of an oversimplification and not my intention to tell you how to do your job that you know how to do quite well. These are just kind of little tips, reminders, and ways to challenge ourselves. The first is our excitement does not help us sell. So we can be passionate, but we have to be careful about being excited about the opportunity because that actually does not help us have a better chance of winning it. And it's actually our job to focus on getting the truth, asking better questions, having better conversations, and also knowing how and when to shut up. Simple little things that we sometimes forget when we get fired up, when we want to sell, when we get attached to deals. There's a couple of key questions that I'm always interested in uncovering in your business that might be a little bit different, but here's kind of the idea. As I'm asking or trying to uncover certain questions, I'm curious. I'm looking to see if they'd be willing to share or if they can give me a sense of. I want to have a sense of why change. Assuming that they've done something somewhere else in the past, I want to make sure that they give me some really good reasons why they would change. I really want to uncover, why now? What matters most to them? Of all of these elements and things that we offer or what's different, what matters most? And then who else cares? So oftentimes the person that we're talking to is not the ultimate decision maker. And the more we can understand who else has a stake in this, who else would be a part of making the decision, and who else cares about this, the more effective we'll be at figuring out what the next steps are in our process, and also being a little more in control and having things stall less often. Then in the end, I also want to know, what did you like? So, so far, what do you like about what you've heard? What, if anything, was compelling? Are there any lingering questions that you have based on the decisions that you're making? How do we stack up? What's different? What's not? Simple questions that we sometimes don't ask consistently or early enough. So as a part of this 30-day program, we're going to do a live half-day session in December. You have access to the on-demand webinars. You also have access to me for some real-time coaching. I had a call with one of your colleagues yesterday who had a couple of very specific situations where they were trying to finalize and close a deal, one where something had stalled. So giving them some thoughts and some feedback on how to deal with that in the moment, and also looking back on, okay, what did I miss? What did I not uncover, or what am I not totally sure about, or what don't I know at this point? What do I know, and what don't I know, and what could I do next? So you have access to me. The best way to access me is via email initially, and or text or phone, but typically email. And then we can schedule a call and talk about deals. You can send me an email example of an email that you're sending, or of a situation, and I can give you some tips and tools and some ideas. So you have access to me. For the next 30 days, you can use me as much as you want. We can schedule a call. You can send me an email. Up to you to use me, and you'll get a couple of reminders periodically. We will do a follow-up webinar in a couple of weeks, and this information below that I believe I already sent is access to the on-demand modules that give a little more in-depth view of all of this. And so my initial assignment is always read the book. You don't have to read the book cover to cover. Just flip through it. Find certain chapters and topics that you're interested in. If you have any questions or comments about what you're reading, let me know. Review all of the on-demand modules. There's 6 of them. They're just all about 10 minutes. So over the next week or so, if you can review all of those. You can also cut and paste the examples if you like. Email me. So you have my email address, tom@perficency.com. By the way, the name Perficency is a made-up word, so I didn't misspell it. It's a hybrid word: performance, efficiency, effectiveness. Send me an email anytime you want. You can also Skype me if you're on Skype chat. You can text me. You can call me. Feel free to use me. Sometimes when I offer all this up, I get a little nervous about being inundated, and in my experience, I'm not. So about 1/3 of the people will use me, and the other 2/3 really won't use me that much because they're not comfortable with it. But either way, we'll all be together live in about a month. And that is it. So nice talking with you, although we weren't able to have a two-way conversation. So feel free to send me an email if you have any questions or comments. And anyone who's listening to the recording, feel free to do the same. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.